There are moments in life that split your existence into two parts, the person you were before, and the person you became after. For most people, those moments come with milestones, graduations, marriages, the birth of a child. But for me, it wasn't an event. It wasn't a success or tragedy. It was a person. Someone I never expected to meet. Someone who walked into my life out of nowhere and left me carrying a story that I've never fully been able to explain. I was 23, at a stage of life where nothing made sense. I had a job I hated, working late shifts at a small printing shop. I had friends, but none who really understood me. Most nights, I wandered aimlessly after work, just to avoid going home to the silence of my small, crumbling apartment. It was during one of those nights that I met him. The city streets were empty, washed in the orange glow of tired street lamps. I walked with my hands shoved into my pockets, exhausted but restless, when I saw an old man sitting alone on a park bench. He wore a dark overcoat and a hat that shadowed his face. Normally, I wouldn't have stopped, but something about him pulled me closer. His posture was too straight, too deliberate, and though his hair was white, there was a sharpness about him, like his age hadn't dulled him at all. As I passed, he spoke. "Do you know where you're going?" I froze. The question wasn't casual. It wasn't about directions. His voice was calm, yet it cut through me like a blade. I turned, and finally, I saw his face. His eyes were piercing blue, too intense for a stranger, and they held me like a hawk watching its prey. I'm just walking," I said awkwardly. He nodded slowly, as if he already knew that. "Walking in circles, aren't you?" That sentence hit harder than it should have. He couldn't have known me, but somehow he described exactly how my life felt, like I was looping through the same routines, never moving forward. I didn't know why, but I sat down beside him. What began as small talk stretched into hours. The old man spoke with a wisdom that felt almost unnatural. He didn't give advice in clichés or vague proverbs. He asked questions, sharp and specific, the kind that forced me to confront truths I'd buried. "Why do you do work you despise?" he asked. "Why do you spend time with people who don't see you?" And the one that rattled me most, when was the last time you chose something for yourself, not because it was expected of you? I had no answer. Every word felt like he was peeling away layers of me I didn't even know existed. He didn't tell me who he was, and I didn't ask. But by the time the night faded into dawn, I felt like I had been in the presence of someone more than human. The strange part? When I looked around to thank him, he was gone. No footsteps, no sound, just an empty bench. I thought maybe I'd dreamed it, some hallucination born of exhaustion. But the days after proved me wrong. His words echoed in my head relentlessly. I couldn't walk into the print shop without hearing his question, "Why do you do work you despise?" I couldn't sit among my so-called friends without remembering his piercing gaze, "Why spend time with people who don't see you?" Within weeks, my life began to shift. I quit the job. I cut ties with people who drained me. I started pursuing the things I had always wanted but never dared to try, writing, traveling, speaking honestly with myself for the first time in years. It was terrifying. But it felt real. Months passed, and the changes piled up. My life was unrecognizable compared to before that night. But I couldn't stop thinking about him, the stranger on the bench. Who was he? Why did he choose me? Was it chance, or something else? I tried to find him. I returned to the park countless times, scanning the benches, waiting for his sharp blue eyes to reappear. But he was never there. No one in the neighborhood seemed to know who I was describing. It was as if he had stepped into existence just long enough to speak to me, then vanished forever. And then came the second meeting. It was almost a year later. I was on a train heading out of the city, lost in thought, when I felt that same electric pull, the sense of being watched. I glanced across the aisle, and there he was. Same coat, same hat, same piercing eyes. He gave me the faintest smile, like he had been waiting for me to notice. I stumbled out of my seat, nearly tripping over myself as I crossed to sit beside him. 100 questions raced through me, but before I could speak, he said, "You've begun." That was all. And yet, somehow, it was enough. We talked again, but this time, he didn't peel me apart. Instead, he gave stories, fragments of a life that didn't sound possible. He spoke of places I'd never heard of, wars that didn't exist in any history book, people who sounded half mythical. It was like listening to someone narrate a lifetime stretched across centuries. I tried to press him, to ask who he really was, but he always smiled and turned the question back on me. The who doesn't matter. The what matters. The why matters. When the train reached the station, I followed him off, but in the chaos of the crowd, I lost him again. That was the last time I saw him in person. Yet even now, years later, he's still with me. In every choice I make, every risk I take, every step I carve toward the life I want, his words linger. He didn't just change my life, he redirected it entirely. Was he an angel? A ghost? A hallucination? Or just a wise old man who appeared at the exact moment I needed him most? I don't know. And maybe I don't want to know. Because some things lose their power when you explain them. All I know is this: before him, I was lost, drifting. After him, I was alive. And in the quiet moments, when the world slows and I catch a glimpse of an empty park bench or an unfamiliar face in a crowd, I wonder if he's still out there. Watching, waiting, ready to sit beside the next lost soul and ask the same question he once asked me. Do you know where you're going?